Affirmative, Commander. I'll be in the
Hello.
hangar for pre-drop checklists.
To be doing. I've not actually done it before. We are on our way to go assist a Federated Sons Duke, the Duke Cole, whose daughter is apparently missing.
Affirmative, Commander. I'll be in the hangar for pre-drop checklists.
So we have a bit of distance to cover, given that, you know, he's all the way down in Federated Sun space, and we're gonna have to do it in 2 legs. I mean, we're definitely, well, I mean, strictly speaking, I'm always getting paid for it, so I don't think it qualifies as murder. I suppose. Might qualify. Yes, but semantics are important. So it has taken us about 3 months to get here. 3.5. Huh. I did not realize the Federated Sons liked me as much as that. I mean, possibly Blackjack. Go Fish is probably more my speed. Or Kings in the Corner. I like Kings in the Corner. It's fun. It's, 270. Can I make 270? No. So we're going to be doing this one about 70 tons underweight. Yeah, I can only drop to 290, I think. Yes. Hello! You don't have to do maths in a video game. I have to do maths in a video game. Excellent. So, Copeland can stay here. He can take the standard Atlas, and I'll go in my Marauder 2. And hopefully the fact that they are expecting 65 tonners, I think. So hopefully 200s equates to 465s. Yes, so the dropship they'll drop us off is what our company probably lives in, which is, I think I've got like 9 or 10 pilots, and then our tech teams. However, a lot of mercenary companies will only have lead technicians for each mech, and will hire local technicians to do the rest of the maintenance. And then the crew for the dropship, which is like 6 or 7 people. And honestly, once we're on a planet, we probably get a hotel or two.
Commander, we're getting an urgent broadcast over the emergency bands. Patching it through now.
I hope you received this in time. I'm Duke Thaddeus Cole, of House Cole.
Hello!
My military command and I were ambushed by unknown battlemech forces en route to our meetup location. We managed to escape and have taken shelter at a nearby town, but well, I'm not sure how long we can stay holed up here. We've included our coordinates in this transmission.
A little bit, yeah. They're sublight only.
Here. If you're on world, please help us. They're coming.
I've marked the location of the town on your
big
map. If we hurry,
sort of
we may still have a
cylindrical
chance to
ship
save them.
with the big sail is a
Looks like
jump
we found
ship,
the place, Commander.
which lets us jump through
Are
hyperspace
you a sight for sore eyes?
to a distance
It all
of
happened so fast.
30 light years
Most
at a
of our
time.
security detail has been destroyed. Right now, you're our only line of defense against these bastards. Keep them from reaching us, then we can talk.
Nothing on scopes at the moment, but don't get comfortable. Hostiles have been reported in the area. Enemy units closing in.
Targets identified.
Target acquired.
No worries. So I have set my lance mate to deal with the light mech that's already up at the town, which we are supposed to keep more or less intact.
Vulcan.
And I'm gonna go deal with this Vulcan who's stomping around down here. Hopefully.
Target acquired.
I think I maybe want to wait till he gets closer.
Enemy mech down.
Well done, Bateman. The enemy AI is not always the most tactically acute, shall we say.
Target acquired.
Mind you, neither's the friendly AI.
Recon reports additional forces entering the engagement area, Commander. Be on the lookout for them.
Well, it would do if it weren't for the fact that I need to keep the city intact. And, my minion doesn't naturally recognize that this gets considerably more difficult if he wades through the buildings.
Target destroyed.
Engaging. Enemy mech destroyed.
Work hiccups are never fun. I had a bit of a hiccup at my work the other day, actually.
Focus.
They dropped the wolf fish on my head. We are working for a Davian Duke, a Federated Sons Duke, whose daughter, I believe, has gone missing, and he wants us to find her and bring her home. And I'm not entirely certain that things are as clear-cut as he is making out to me. Mostly because I'm a paranoid git. It's a survival trait in a mercenary. Goods.
Enemy mech eliminated.
Hopefully. This seems to be a very incendiary time of year this year.
What are you firing at us for? Watch it out there.
I did not blow up the building, I waded through the building.
Target destroyed. Jump jet fuel low.
My scope is lighting up with more targets converging on your position, Commander. Stay frosty.
Tango down.
In my defense, I did not try to drop the helicopter into the building.
Target acquired.
Scopes are lighting up with additional bogies, Commander.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Bunch of Vulcans in a big sulk.
Target acquired.
Priority targets received.
We will send the minion after the Locust.
Target acquired. Target acquired.
Good kill, Commander. That mech is going critical.
Jump jet fuel low.
Now, it is generally accepted in the Battletech fandom that mechs do not explode the way they are often depicted to when something cores their fusion reactor. not being a physicist, I can't go into the details, but apparently fusion reactors don't melt down like that. But one of the early authors was quite fond of using that sort of meltdown to build drama, and they stuck.
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
There's even a nickname for that sort of meltdown. It is called stack polling, after the author in question, who's still writing Battletech novels, and includes at least one meltdown in every novel.
Main admin office has been destroyed.
I'm quite fond of one called Ghost of Winter. It is set after the clan invasion on a world called Core. Our main character is a
75% efficiency here, mercenary.
militia recruit
Tango eliminated.
on a planet sort of on the edge of the periphery that has a myth of ghostly battle mechs in the mountains.
Bad news, Commander. More hostiles inbound on your position. Get ready for some company.
There's one called, oh, I can't remember what it is now. Ghost War, I think? Or Ghost Knight? Which is also set a ways after the clan invasion, and it basically follows, basically the Republic of the Spheres version of a US Marshal or a Texas Ranger, only, you know, with a battle mech.
Jet fuel low.
There is. I'm trying to get it out of those there hills. Now, mind you, if you are looking for Battletech stories to read, you cannot go wrong with Catalyst's webzine, Shrapnel. There are actually there's a few stories like that in some of the early episodes of Shrapnel, actually. I quite like, there's a series of short stories about a lass who salvages an old clan Kit Fox
Target acquired.
and decides to take up the mercenary life, and it's basically following her trying to get a mercenary company off the ground with no support and some employers who are not as legit as they make out. Very important if you're a mercenary, always read the fine print. You would think that the sort of person who operates in, you know, multi-tens of tons of war machine would not get double-crossed by their employer. And if you think that, you have clearly never met an employer.
Hey, what was that for? Check your fire, damn it.
Target acquired.
Coincidentally, would someone who can see the left side of my screen be able to tell me how many enemies are left? Oh good, so it's just a matter of finishing off what's here. I think you'll find Bateman got one between the two of you posting.
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Of course, it would be one of the complicated ones to deal with. Phoenix Hawks are nippy, and they have one of the yeah, that'll do. They have a loadout that's quite effective given their weight class. Fortunately, this one is the K, which is the Draconis Combine variant. For some reason, they don't like jump jets in their mechs.
Unforeseen situation, Commander. The tank was hurt in the assault, but only received minor injuries.
So a lot of their mechs they rip the jump jets out of and use the extra tonnage for things like
Late last night, my estate was attacked
heat
by an
sinks and the
unknown
like.
battalion, led by a strange Victor. They've taken my daughter. Commander, she's the only family I have left. So I beg you, help me bring her home.
I've got the coordinates, Commander. We're good to go whenever you're ready.
I do like Victors. When I hit the assault weight, I used a Victor for a while. Their weapon loadout's very similar to an upgunned Centurion. Heavy autocannon in the arm, missile pod, and then a couple of beams. There is a later variant that has started showing up where they replace the autocannon with a Gauss rifle. Which will catch you by surprise if you're not expecting it. Now, what do we have for salvage? So at the point in the game I'm at, it's not really worth me taking any weapons that are less than 4 pips, unless there's nothing else. And most of the mechs I salvage at this point I'm going to end up selling as well. There we go. So for part 2, he thanks us for saving him and apologizes for not being able to meet with us in person, but his injuries prevent him from traveling anytime soon. Some time ago he receives a confidential briefing from the Ministry of Information, Intelligence and Operations. Yes, I still want to loot all the things, but my employers won't let me because they're monsters. Anyway, the Duke has received intelligence that there's a plot against his life and possibly the entire system. They want him to reinforce his security detail and be vigilant of suspicious activity amongst his subjects, so he's hired me in the hopes that I'd be able to bolster his protective detail until he's given the all clear. When I'm playing Fallout, I'm typically hoarding railway spikes. But this is because I am mildly addicted to the railway rifle. It's the choo-choo sound it makes when it fires. And also the fact that the first time I was using it, I managed to blow off a super mutant's arm and then pin the super mutant behind him to the wall. This made me very happy. Anyway, he is complaining that he is not fast enough in employing my services, and wants me to rescue his daughter Samantha, who is his heir. They're preparing a counter-offensive, and they think that Samantha has been moved with his captured staff to a holding facility a short distance away from his estate's grounds. They want me to secure the prisoners and a landing facility for his militia while he launches a counter-offensive. And this can only end well. Fun fact, trains are still in existence in BattleTech. There's one very famous campaign that got won because the defenders were able to redeploy quicker than anyone expected by sheer dint of strapping their battle mechs to flatbeds.
Expect limited visibility and sensor malfunctions on this mission.
Hey, I can take a third mech. So... let's field the crabs. Well, see, the thing is that if they did that, the center of mass would be so high that anytime they went around a corner, they'd derail. It was, I believe, the Grey Death Legion on in their defense of Glengarry from, I think, the 4th Sky Lancers? 4th Sky Rangers?
We've landed just outside the perimeter of where the Duke's assailants are holding his daughter among other hostages. The Duke has pledged to commit the Draconis March militia to assist in the assault, but we'll need to secure a landing site for them first. Once you've destroyed the radar dishes directing the anti-aircraft fire, our employer promises to land a few extra units to help you out. There are several artillery batteries in the area. Search for them and silence those guns.
We have unidentified turtlenecks on screen. Assume they are hostile and engage.
You've been spotted. Expect incoming bombardments.
Artillery, open fire.
There's one battery up this way, 2 batteries up this way. Storytime may have to wait until I'm not getting bombarded by Hellstorm artillery emplacements.
Look out for mobile enemies in the area. Tango down.
And me without my jump jets.
Wrecked.
I do like telling stories, though.
Target acquired.
Target destroyed.
Fun fact, this particular mech is heavy enough that I can just wade through the artillery emplacements.
Target acquired. Heat critical.
Hostile spotted. Engaging.
Good work, Commander. That's one less target.
Target acquired.
Enemy destroyed.
Target destroyed.
Target destroyed.
I may, much as I hate to admit this,
Acquired.
be in the wrong mech for this mission.
Target neutralized.
Tango down.
New target charger.
Engaging Lance Focus.
Oh good, it's just a 1A1. I think I mentioned them on a previous stream, but this particular mech was designed as a scout mech. And the sort of engine it takes to get 80 tons up to as many kilometers an hour doesn't leave you a lot of room for anything else. So they skimped on such unimportant things as armor, weapons. So you end up with an 80-ton battle mech that gets outshot by most lights, is slower than most lights, and doesn't have much heavier armor than a medium. The only reason they stayed in service is because they were so useless that no one ever used them until they ran out of better mechs.
Target acquired.
Target down.
Target neutralized.
Eventually, it actually happens during the period covered by that massive engine, and replace it with something slightly lighter. They'd have the tonnage to put in a decent weapons loadout. And the 1A5 was born. It only moves like 50 or 60 kilometers an hour. But it packs in room for either a really heavy autocannon or a Gauss rifle. I fielded ones with both. Along with a reasonable beam loadout.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Objective down.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Engaging shared target ID.
Break. Component lost. Critical structure damage. I just took out one of their components.
Heat critical.
Scratch that target off the list.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Heat critical. Systems offline.
Right torso destroyed.
Oh, enemy mech eliminated. Threat eliminated.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target destroyed.
Uh,
Target
not battle mechs. You do get industrial mechs, some of which have cargo hauling capacity. The difference is that they tend to use internal combustion engines rather than the fusion reactors battle mechs do. There are rules in the tabletop for using them in combat, in fact. It typically tends to be frowned upon because, well, their weight distribution's all wrong, so they don't handle as well when there's armor strapped on them. And the fact that they use the combustion engine as opposed to a
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
fusion engine means that they don't have the they have difficulty meeting some of the energy requirements for some of the more intensive weapons.
Target destroyed.
Gauss rifles, for instance, it's mentioned in the lore that
Heat critical.
the
Target destroyed.
energy requirements for firing a Gauss rifle are so high that it will make vehicles with a conventional engine stall out. A famous example is the Yellow Jacket helicopter, which, when it fires its Gauss rifle, its engine conks out on it.
That's the last radar installation on the list. Objective complete.
Yes and no. Battletech refers to the setting.
One down.
A mech warrior is either a pilot of a battle mech, or the video games where you play as a pilot.
Target destroyed.
There's a
This never
command
gets old.
simulator called Battletech
Additional friendlies
by
entering the
H
combat zone.
by Harebrained Schemes. And there is
Scan the
also
garrison units. Move in to take control. Stay
Um,
close and keep the beds clear.
it's also the name of the tabletop game. Yes, Mech Warrior books are also
Operation on
Battletech
these
books.
folk. Enemy aircraft inbound.
Attention all forces. You are clear to fire on base. Repeat. Fire for six. Fire at will.
They're not done yet, Commander. And it looks like primary scouting missed some artillery batteries.
Extensive structure damage.
Yeah, it's
Support.
different names for the same franchise. The rights for the tabletop have actually jumped between several different companies as well. Wizards of the Coast actually owned it for a while.
They know what we're up to, and they're going to want to stop this invasion before it starts. Hold this position. That's it, Commander. The militia is free to land. They've been relayed, and they're on approach. They'll be joining you shortly.
DMM insertion team has landed and is moving to assist you, Commander. Clear the way for the rest of them.
I don't know that I'm actually going to succeed in this one.
Radio chatter indicates more enemy units inbound.
Yeah, I very much think I'm not going to succeed at this one. Given how much artillery they've thrown at me after the fact.
destroyed. Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Raid unit squad taking heavy damage.
Target acquired.
It is a known problem with most variants of the king crab
Target destroyed.
is that they are very dependent on ammunition. So in a prolonged fight, such as this one, they can lose a lot of their effectiveness.
New target locus. Target acquired.
But I might not be in quite as much trouble as I thought.
Mech taking heavy damage.
Target acquired.
The mercenary scout has just lost a component.
Target acquired.
Okay, I think that's all the artillery dealt with.
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Target info received.
Those lightning strikes are particle projection cannons.
Heat critical. Target destroyed.
Yes. What's left?
Target acquired. Ammo low.
And if I refer to ERPPC, it is an extended range particle projection cannon,
Target destroyed.
which actually fire farther than I could see, even if this soup wasn't thicker than, or this fog wasn't thicker than pea soup.
Target destroyed.
Now, a lot of this style of mission, once I capture the thing, they throw another bunch of mechs at me. I'm hoping that's not the case here. Shots, I think, with my missiles, and 8 shots total with my Gauss.
Target acquired.
Point captured, Commander. Now you need to hold it. Here is where we earn our pay. Incoming battle mechs. A lot of them.
I mean, it's a single lance, Rihanna. And it's all lights.
Target destroyed.
I am pretty sure that this mysterious force of raiders are Draconis Combine, coincidentally.
Target destroyed.
Guns up. Engaging. Enemy mech nullified.
So whatever they paid me for this mission, it's not going to be enough. Because my repair bill is going to be huge. Well, Bateman lost his mech completely. Hopefully he's still alive. Copeland, I think they said he's lost at least one arm. And I am down both arms and one of my side torso segments. And I'm on to internals on everything else. Oh, there's one last enemy somewhere. I just wish I knew where.
news, Commander. Whoever these culprits are, they're falling back to their dropships and are leaving the system. What's more, the Governor's daughter has been found alive and in good health. She wishes to speak with you. Patching her through now.
So, you're my rescuer, huh? I didn't need the assist, but it's still greatly appreciated. What I do need is for you to not hand me back to my dad just yet. I was able to drop a tracker in the vehicle that nabbed me. I want to get to the bottom of who these goons are and why they're after my family. I'm heading over to your dropship now. We'll talk soon.
The Federated Sons have a long tradition of extremely capable nobility. In fact, Prince Victor Steiner Davian played a very major role in the clans not rolling right over the entirety of the Inner Sphere. I mean, they're fairly capable at military things. They're not so capable at things like politics. For instance, that Victor gent I mentioned, he headed off into clan space to try and demonstrate to them that attacking the Inner Sphere was hazardous to their health, and when he came back, he discovered that his sister had made a little bit of a coup. So, Samantha Cole... no worries. Samantha Cole says the tracker they dropped in their vehicle worked, and they've determined that the raiders have fled to the Draconis Combine. House Cole can't deploy House forces to respond without risking a war with House Kurita, but Samantha can't risk them attacking her family again and needs to take the fight to them on her own. So she's sending us coordinates to a communications outpost that they've set up, and if I can take it out, we'll disrupt their operations and make it harder for them to carry out whatever it is they're planning. In the meantime, while they're distracted, she'll follow the tracker and investigate their operations and see if she can't figure out exactly what they're up to. And seeing as we have to do a bit of travelling to begin with, we'll find out what this hero mech is on Marduk and do some repairs. Because, oh dear gods, we need them. So this urban mech once belonged to a former Solaris 7 gladiator. Solaris being a star system that's big draw is mech on mech pit fights, basically. Imagine UFC if, you know, everyone was in 20 to 100 ton mecha. probably not worth picking it up, given that my lightest is 95 at the moment. So the Marauder is a straight repair, the Atlas is a straight repair. I forgot to check if Bateman survived. I'll go do that in a minute. Kaiju's a straight repair. Convenient, I have all the parts already. And I can upgrade the ERPPC. Apart from half a ton of LB-10X ammo. Now we can go see what Miss Samantha's needing us to do. And I am going to take a moment while we jump. I will be back in a minute. Alrighty. Take some insurance to help cover the cost of any damage. Hey, Bateman did survive. We'll have Bomb take over for Bateman. And let's see exactly what they want us doing.
Okay, Commander. The Mystery Attackers Logistics Center is just ahead. Our job is to kick up as much of a shitstorm as possible to draw them out and keep them distracted while Samantha infiltrates the data server. Make a good show of force, but be sure to fall back once all the main objective marks are destroyed.
Okay. Good old-fashioned raid.
Phoenix Hawk.
My kill. Enemy eliminated.
We must have got the Phoenix Hawk already.
Eliminated.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. New target, Shadowhawk. Incoming missile. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
That's one target down. How are you faring on your end, Samantha?
I've almost made it to the data vault. Whatever you're doing, it's working. They're moving on to your location. I just need you to buy me some more time. Take out those other installations.
Incoming missile.
Target mech down.
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
This never gets old.
Target acquired.
Now, in previous games, the targeting worked very, very differently.
Destroyed.
And once it was within a certain range, an enemy would show up on your HUD, whether you had line of sight or not.
Target locus.
I have mixed feelings about the change
Approach the hidden object to pick it up.
for this game. On the one hand, you know,
Target destroyed.
depending on which sensor and guidance system you're using,
Brilliant. Payload acquired.
it can make more sense, especially if the enemy mechs are ones with ECM.
Taking heavy damage.
But it does make gameplay slightly more complicated.
Target neutralized.
Now, if I'm lucky, I'll get to salvage this Kintaro. They're not overly common. And if it is the right variant, which I don't know that it is, they're worth quite a bit of money.
Critical kill. Nice work, Commander.
Target acquired.
They were originally intended for use as a
Hostile mech down.
targeting mech for missile lances. Specifically, the original variant was armed with what's called a narc beacon, which it would affix to, you know, the designated target, and then the heavier mechs behind would have their missile payloads home in. Yay! Unfortunately, the factory that could produce, or the factories that produced narc beacons,
New target.
were destroyed over the course of the first couple of Succession Wars. So they ripped out that functionality and threw in an extra cluster of missile pods.
Team kill, Commander. The enemies are about to quit.
Meant they couldn't fulfill their intended use, but they were still a perfectly viable design.
Target acquired.
That's all you can do here, Commander. It's time to fall back. Commander, incoming message from
I
Samantha.
got blown very largely to bits. We did some repair.
I was able to extract exabytes worth of encrypted data from these guys. It's still in the decryption process, so no word on who's responsible for the attack on my father just yet.
We discovered
One thing that is clear is that this data was sourced from deep within Confine space. So that'd be a good place to start looking.
that
Find space. There may be more at play here than we realized, Commander. Let's regroup and see what
the
turns
folks
up in
who
that data.
are causing all this trouble are from within, like it just said, the Draconis Combine, although whether it's an official group or not,
Target down.
the five great houses have basically been in a state of Cold War for the past 300 or 400 years, and it occasionally gets hot. Those are the Succession Wars. We are at the moment a few decades past the end of the fourth Succession War. Strictly speaking, we should be actually coming up for the Fedcom Civil War, but the game basically stops the timeline in 3050.
If you find the acquisition,
Ooh,
just walk up to it
loot.
in order to pick it up.
So our employer is a
Commander.
Federated
Begin
Suns
recovery
noble,
now.
and the Federated Suns are ruled by the Great House Davian. The folks who seem to be causing the problems we've been hired to deal with are the Draconis Combine, which are ruled by House Kurita. And very early on in House Kurita's history, or the Draconis Combine history rather, one of their early rulers realized that given the scale of the empire he was trying to run and the length of time it took to get ships anywhere,
To the treasure to pick it up.
his best bet at maintaining some form of internal coherency was to try and encourage a single national culture. And as he was of Japanese descent, he decided that House Kurita and the Draconis Combine would be very decidedly Japanese. Except, of course, given that, you know, he made this decision in like 23 or 2400, if not slightly later than that. The Japanese culture he settled on was sort of cherry-picked, which is a very good
Let's look over that data.
Watsonian explanation for any differences between Draconis culture and actual Japanese culture. The Doylean explanation, of course, being that the original lore was written in the 80s, and, you know, thus is a product of the 80s. Now that mission went considerably better. I did take some internal damage. Possibly because what I thought was a 1A1 was a 1A5. Yeah, so the 1A1 was 5 small lasers. This has a small laser, a medium laser, 12 short-range missile tubes, and a Class 20 autocannon. We'll grab the Kentaro, and we'll grab the Vulcan. Yeah, I took about 160 grand in damages. So while we were raiding the facility, Samantha was able to uncover more details on the group. They still don't know who they are or who they're working for, but their base of operations is even deeper in Combine space, in a remote polar region of Reisling's planet, constantly plagued by extreme weather and far from any civilian population, which makes the base all but invisible to those that don't already know it's there. They think those same conditions make it vulnerable to attack, and using the same extreme weather as a shield, we could advance on the base by battle mech and remain undetected. And before I leave the system, I'll see if there's anything interesting in the black market. I'm not expecting there to be. No. So we'll make the jump to Reisling's planet, and I think, given that it is supposed to be poor visibility, I might be taking the privateer. I might take the Wall of Atlases instead, we'll see. I would take the Wall of Atlases, except half of them are damaged. So, I will take the Corsair. We'll take 2 undamaged Atlases. Oop. Bateman's still injured. So we'll take Captain Duarte, and we will give Copeland... Give Copeland the King Crab. So, the Corsair is an interesting one. I took it off some pirates a little while back, and it's what's called a Frankenmech. Basically... Yeah, I decided I wanted to go for a lot of bright colors. After all, you know, something this size, your enemy's going to see you coming. You might as well give him something to look at.
Commander, incoming message from Samantha.
The
Oh,
decryption
this is
process
going to be fun.
taking longer than I had anticipated. But without a doubt, the data originated here. I'll see if I can make any more headway in deciphering this. Maybe it can tell us something useful. In the meantime, I want you to take
Exactly.
these bastards down. It's time they learn no one messes with House Cole.
You heard the lady. Targeted location
It-
has been marked.
Actually has a basis in real-world camouflage systems. If you don't believe me, Google Dazzle. Before radar really became a particularly big thing, in World War I and in World War II, when most targeting was by sight, naval warships were painted ridiculous patterns to break up their outlines. And it doesn't matter so much what the colors are, so long as the patterns are irregular. Because it will make it harder for the brain to pick out the shape. Dazzle is glorious, and I fully intend when it gets to the point to paint my house to propose that we use Dazzle for the siding. I also fully expect my spouse to laugh and tell me no, but I will at least have made the attempt. But yeah, if...
Stop moving now! I've just seen schematics of the base. It's heavily fortified, and you are within a hair of triggering its perimeter defenses. A full frontal assault would trigger alarms and put the base on high alert, leading to increased resistance.
What do you suggest, Rihanna?
Samantha's briefing mentioned a path along the edge of the base. It's a longer detour, but we can potentially catch them by surprise if we take it. I strongly suggest the path of least resistance here, Commander, though the choice is yours.
I fully support not getting blown up. You can use colors. I actually painted one up in the Ace flag a little while back. Oh, you meant the house rather than the mechs. But I did have a mech painted up in Ace colors, and I've seen pictures online of a number of battle mechs painted up in the trans flags.
Enemy mech in the area.
Nick has been dispatched.
There's a spider. Two spiders.
Spider.
Both is indeed good. I like both.
Heat critical.
I didn't realize you played 40k.
Heat critical. Target destroyed.
Enemy mech nullified.
What faction do you play? Or do you just paint?
New target. Locust.
Good kill, Commander. That mech is about to go critical.
That would have been good to know before I stepped on it. Tell me about it. I will be honest, my 40k has basically gone... Oh, okay. My 40k has basically gone by the wayside in the past, like, basically since just before the pandemic. Basically since the point that I found out that Battletech was getting new plastic miniatures. Because I'd been wanting to get into Battletech since I was a kid.
That structure on the cliffside before anyone decides to pay you a visit.
But prior to Catalyst's re-release of a game of Armored Combat, it was a bit of a bugger to get into.
We'll get 'em.
Target acquired.
Watch out, that mech is going critical.
Target destroyed.
I'm actually really happy with the new plastic Battletech models. And this is the first mech that I have fielded today that I don't actually have a tabletop model for. I suppose technically my Atlas model is the D, but they don't have they don't have models for most of the variants. Battletech has never been particularly worried with what you see is what you get for the tabletop. So long as it's the right chassis, they're not too concerned about the variant. Actually, this and I think MechWarrior Online are the first MechWarrior games where the variants even been differentiated in the video games.
Enemy vehicle spotted. Crush their crews under your feet.
I hear helicopters again.
Eliminated.
I don't know that I'm gonna get these ECM towers Rihanna wants me to destroy destroyed. If only because I can't see the blasted things. What do I have? I have 41 volleys from my missile tubes, and no, just shooting about is probably a waste of time because they're relatively small targets, and I'm not even sure I'm in the right place for them.
Crap! Enemy mech! Mercenary unit spotted. Moving to intercept. Enemy mech destroyed.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Dynasty unit has gone critical.
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Nice kill shot, Commander. Target is about to blow.
Be advised, unit has gone critical. Enemy mech down.
I think the heaviest of those mechs was the Panther or possibly the Jenner at 35 tons. They were a little bit outmatched.
I'm picking up another signal source up ahead.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Was that number 2 by any chance?
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Enemy mech destroyed.
good.
New target Logan. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
I was expecting them all to be in that northward running canyon.
My kill.
Target destroyed.
Ejecting.
And that is why we shoot at pipes before we walk through them. Unlike, from the sounds of it, my idiot mooks.
Hostile mech spotted.
New target Phoenix Hawk.
Targets down.
Strategy unit taking enemy fire.
Target destroyed.
I should probably take care of that Phoenix Hawk behind us, shouldn't I? I think they actually fiddled with the loadout on the Phoenix Hawk for this.
Target destroyed.
Yes. The tabletop one, all of the weapons are in the arms. The trouble is, especially in this, it is very easy to blow the arms off. It's actually easier to blow the arms off in this than in the tabletop, because you can actually target components direct, or I say components, locations directly in this. You can't do that in the tabletop unless your target is unconscious.
The last structure is dead ahead. You'll be in the thick of its trace. Destroy it quickly. Another squad of VTOLs moving towards you, Commander.
Target destroyed.
Hey, they're actually sending a decent number at us.
Enemy destroyed.
Target
Almost.
destroyed.
It's fine, I didn't need those legs. Coincidentally, we are not taking bets on whether or not the AI will jump down after me. Oh look, they jumped down after me. The enemies are also being driven by people. It is possible to do computer-piloted and remote-piloted battle mechs. However, computers are not able, in canon, computers are not able to handle all of the calculations required to keep a battle mech upright. That is accomplished through a combination of a very fancy gyroscope and neuro helmets, which read the neural signals of the pilot and use the pilot's sense of balance and the gyroscope to correct the mech's stance to keep it on its feet. Computers aren't able to do this, so computer-piloted mechs tend to fall over a lot, and remote-operated mechs run into the problem of if there's any lag at all, your mech starts to have trouble. It takes a lot of bandwidth, and if your enemy's clever, he brings in something with ECM or jamming technology, and suddenly your remote piloted mechs are very, very, very expensive paperweights. Right up until your enemy's technicians climb into those mechs, disconnect the drone equipment, and take them home to refit them into something, you know, worth fielding. The experiments with drone mechs were basically abandoned by everyone but the Capellan Confederation very, very quickly. And even the Capellans only fielded them in very limited situations. Mostly for positional defense and stuff. Suppose there's no reason why one couldn't have remote operated or drone tanks. Except that people can get experience and tanks not so much. Computers not so much.
Another message from Samantha, Commander. You're going to want to hear this.
Commander, I just finished decoding the data. I know who's responsible for the attack on my father. I don't believe it, but it's my own family. Estranged cousins. They fled the Federated Suns long ago after a failed attempt to usurp my grandfather. They appear to have taken refuge in the Draconis Combine, supplying House Kurita with classified information about my family in exchange for clemency. The pilot of the Victor that attacked my home, it's my cousin, Henrik. He aims to kill my father and take the throne for himself, the backing of the Draconis Combine. You have to stop them.
Commander, a puppet of the Draconis Combine ruling over House Cole would destabilize the entire region. We have to put a stop to these usurpers now.
Well, that's the Victor dealt with.
No business robbing me of my birthright. By aligning yourself with the fools of House Cole, you have only sealed your fate. You will be the first to die in my ascension to the throne. My rule begins today. No, I was so close.
Impressive shot. That cockpit is gone.
That was an impressive shot. Hopefully, I'll get to salvage that Marauder too. I've been wanting another one.
Target destroyed.
Target destroyed.
Invalid target.
I'll invalid target you. It's right
received.
there.
Engaging.
The facility has gone cold, Commander. No other hostiles detected. And one more thing. Incoming transmission from Samantha.
Hey, that was really amazing what you did for my family. This plot against us has been in the works for generations. And now it's finally over. Thank you. Thank you for... Look at me getting all sentimental. Well, a deal is a deal. I'll head back to my father, and I'll make sure you get a little something extra for your efforts. Nice work, Merc.
Victors are dangerous unless you happen to be good at getting headshots. They have a lovely, big, impressive cockpit that does not do particularly well when it takes a Class 20 autocannon or two. The Marauder 2's cockpit hit was, I will admit, a lucky shot, for which I'm sincerely grateful because those things are nasty. The Orion could have been concerning if I hadn't been at point-blank range right away. The Class 20 autocannons, of which my Privateer has 2, are extremely effective up close. I think I one-shotted a Locust with them earlier, if I recall correctly. Oh, that's painful. I could salvage it if I had the shares, which I don't. This makes me a sad Yehan. Thank you, Commander. Your aid has been absolutely critical in piecing together and stopping Henrik's plot to unseat my family. With Henrik killed, the Draconis Combine no longer have a convenient puppet in their pocket to lay claim to the Remand system. While I doubt those snakes will give up their aspiration to conquer our land to expand the Combine's border, Henrik's death makes it clear that House Cole will never make it easy for them. We've taken a copy of Henrik's mech's data core and will be giving it over to the Federation's Ministry of Information, Intelligence and Operations. With any luck, Director Quintus Allard will be able to extract more info from it that might help prevent a future attack. As to the mech itself, please keep it on behalf of House Cole in addition to your negotiated payment. And I will be right back. I do apologize. So they can't keep the mech because it's evidence of their raid into the Combine space, and it would be impossible to hide. And they very much do not want the Draconis Combine to know that they were involved in an attack on one of their systems, so it's all mine. And I've never seen an ATASK. So we are going to come down into Davian space to have a look at it. Because they like me a lot, so we'll sell a bunch of mechs here too. Okay. So the standard one comes with a larger missile slot in the torso, the same energy slots in the left arm, and a large ballistic slot in the right arm. So I'm probably not going to use this, but I'll repair it and keep a hold of it anyway, just in case I need some form of lighter mech later on. Now, I think that may be me for the day, but we shall come over to Lee over here, and one of these Capellan missions. See if there's any of them that are worth doing. Oh, a hero mech. Worth looking to see what these are. They all have non-standard loadouts, and while not all of them have, well, for one thing, it's a spider, so it's tiny. While not all the hero mechs have loadouts that I'd consider particularly viable, a lot of them have hardpoint arrangements that you're not going to find elsewhere. So quite often it's worth picking them up. Just, you know, not a spider.
Affirmative, Commander. I'll be in the hangar for pre-drop checklists.
Anyway, on that note, I shall bid you all farewell. I don't know if I will be streaming much over the next couple of days because I'm visiting friends. And at some point next week I'm going offshore for 2 weeks. But once I get back, I will see when I'm available. It has been fun and I hope to see you all again.